With the announcement of the new MVM update coming to TF2, I became really excited. Really excited. Getting new maps, missions, and potentially even new drops has me super pumped to see new content in the game. And this MVM update got me thinking, what would a full-fledged update to TF2 even look like? Like, what if Valve magically handed me the keys to their headquarters and let me decide what gets into the game? What would my dream TF2 update look like? That's what this video is all about. Crafting my own TF2 update to get all of the content, bug fixes, and new items in the game that I'd like to see. I understand that this is all just wishful thinking and things are probably a lot more complicated than just adding random ideas from the workshop and calling it a day, but I don't care, man. These things are cool, and hopefully some of what I talk about gets the attention of Valve or other workshop creators. Let's get into it.
I am a robot. I am a robot.
I love Man vs. Machine. We know for a fact that we're going to be getting new maps and campaigns, which is super awesome. I'm not really going to talk about which campaigns or maps that I'd like to see added for MVM because I kind of want it to be a surprise. It's genuinely fun for me to see what we're already getting on launch day and then try it out with my friends. And seeing how it's already confirmed to happen, I'll leave it at that. I'm putting my full trust into Valve that we'll get some really cool stuff added to the game come later this year. That being said, there are a lot of things I'd like Valve to fix about MVM to make it more enjoyable. For starters, the upgrade system. I like the upgrade system. The UI itself is fine visually, but once you start playing the game, over time you'll notice that things are slightly off. That's because some of the upgrades don't work. People should go into MVM expecting all of the upgrades to work properly, because they pay real life money to even have a chance at earning decent loot. Certain ticks on certain weapons don't work properly or at all, causing players to unknowingly waste their hard-earned MVM and IRL money, which inevitably will lead to them losing waves or even infighting. I'd like these bugs fixed to prevent any of that from happening. And speaking of infighting, one feature that got removed was the ability to see your teammates' upgrades. Valve's reasoning for this was to remove toxicity to prevent bullying and vote kicking, but to be honest, this just makes playing MVM so much harder. I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely do not mind playing MVM with newer players, so long as they are cooperative or actually try their best, and I'm sure most people feel the same. I'm certainly aware that toxic high tour players exist, and I know, they're some of the least fun people to be around, but they're not as common as people think. I think it's really unfair to drag down the entire game mode instead of issuing player bans for harassment and griefing for a mode that, again, people pay real life money to play. Not everyone is looking to turn you into the next TF2 lolcow for not knowing that crit resistances are good to buy. There are people like me and so many others out there who genuinely enjoy the co-op aspect of MVM. Being able to see which upgrades my players have not only allows me to help my team choose the proper upgrades needed for a specific wave, but it also helps me as an individual know what to do based on my team's playstyle. I miss being able to see my team's upgrades, and I want it to come back. There are tons of other glitches and inconsistencies in MVM that I could talk about, but those two issues are a main priority in my opinion. They would improve the game mode by a long shot, but now I want to get into the fun stuff. The reason we all play MVM, the loot.
Oh god. Oh please. Oh please.
Oh! I am begging Valve to add new Australiums into this update. It's been so long since we've had new ones since they first dropped, and I would love to see even more get added. I looked around for some fan-made models and picked out 2 for each class. I know that's pretty generous, but I think it's pretty reasonable given how long it's been since we first got new Australiums and just how many weapons are actually in TF2. So I want to take the time to quickly go over the ones I'd like added into TF2. Let's do it. First up, we've got Scout. For his first Australium, I chose the Flying Guillotine. It's such a fun weapon to use. Scout already has all of his unique Australiums as primary slots, so I thought a secondary item would be a really sweet addition to the game. Plus, it looks cool. For Scout's second weapon, I chose the Fan of War. I know that on its own and casual, it's kind of a meme weapon that people don't always take too seriously, but this item is an MVM staple for MVM Scout. And being able to flaunt Australiums in the game mode you actually earn them from is something I'd kinda like to see more of. Now we've got the Soldier. Soldier is really tough to pick weapons for because he has so many cool ones, but I think I've narrowed it down to some godlike choices. My first choice is the Market Gardener. When people think of TF2 Soldier, chances are that they are thinking about this weapon. It's such an iconic item, and I can't believe this wasn't their first choice when adding Australiums into the game. Our second soldier item is the Cow Mangler 5000. I love using the Cow Mangler. If we get an Australium of the Cow Mangler, I'd really like it to shoot golden laser beams. It kind of acts as sort of a throwback to that old glitch where you could paint the cow mangler back in the day, and it'd be chef's kiss. Wow, I need it. I need it. Okay, Australians for pyro. The flog is my first choice, hands down. It pisses off iTours, it pisses off casual players, and I just know it pisses you off even more. It would be such a good meme on Valve's part. The second pyro weapon was really hard to select though. I was torn between the scorch shot and the power jack. On one hand, I like the scorch shot because it's a secondary item and it makes people just as mad as the flog does, but I don't want to troll everyone that hard. I think I'm gonna have to go with the power jack. It's a solid weapon and it's popular and competitive, so I'll stick with that. Running around and critting people with my Australium car battery would be really funny. Demo Man got some really solid Australiums the first time around, those being the grenade launcher, the sticky bomb launcher, and the Islander, but since those have dropped, we got some cool new items. My first choice is the Iron Bomber. This is a solid item for Demo Man's primary, and I'd be more than happy if this got added to the game. It's just a solid choice for a primary. The Iron Bomber is super viable across many game modes, so it gets bonus points for that. My second choice was going to be the lock and load for a lot of the same reasons as the Iron Bomber. It's a great weapon and there's nothing better than hucking footballs at unsuspecting players and getting rewarded for it, but I didn't want to pick two primaries, not for demo at least, and I personally like using the Iron Bomber more. For my second demo Australium, we have to go with the Scottish Resistance. This is the Demo Man secondary most people go to when they play MVM. And like I mentioned earlier, I really want people to be able to use their Australiums in MVM, so this would be a fantastic choice for them to turn into an Australium item. Heavy isn't as easy to choose items for. He already got some solid choices the first time around, those being the minigun and the Tomislav, but I feel like there's not much else you could do for the guy outside of primaries if he were to get more Australiums. Sure, you could make an Australium sandwich, but that's kind of lame in my opinion, so instead, I'm gonna bend the rules just a little bit. We're giving an Australium to the default shotgun. The default shotgun is such an obvious choice. It can be used with multiple classes, allows some classes to go full Australium, and I mean, come on, just look at it. I know people are going to be mad because Australiums are supposed to be class exclusive, but so many people have been begging for an Australium shotgun for years. At this point, it's a weapon that 100% deserves to be Australium due to how much use it can get out of players who earn or buy one. My next heavy weapon that we'll make into an Australium is the Holiday Punch. At this point, you probably think I'm out of ideas, but hear me out. Throughout this list, I've mainly provided MVM weapons or competitive weapons to be added, and I think it's only fair that the bubble-blowing babies of r/TF2 have something to play with too.
Lyle, you need to chill out, okay?
Please stop.
Okay, we'll stop.
Yeah, I see you guys. This weapon would be so out of left field that I think people would be so confused as to why it was even considered, yet so glad that it was added. It would add just a little bit of extra insult to injury when you get taunt killed by it. Engineer is another tough class to pick Australiums for. He has so many cool weapons that would fit perfectly. My first four choices were the Widowmaker, the Jag, the Gunslinger, and the Rescue Ranger. I'll explain my reasoning for each of these. The Widowmaker is a super powerful offensive weapon for battle engineers, and I really like it for that, but the Rescue Ranger beats it out for me. The Rescue Ranger is an essential MVM item, and again, I'd like for people to be able to use their Australiums in MVM. You can play MVM fine with the Widowmaker, especially if you know what you're doing, but let's be real, the Rescue Ranger is the best choice for most players due to it being such a great help against sentry busters. As for the Jag versus the Gunslinger, this was a much harder choice. I ultimately settled on the Jag because it's a lot less situational than the Gunslinger, but man, I would love to have an Australian Gunslinger. The Jag won out because it feels like a direct upgrade to the wrench in my opinion, so having what I think is the best wrench in the game get an Australium seems fair. But I swear, if we could get 3 per class, the Gunslinger would be guaranteed, absolutely. Unlike everyone else on this list, Medic is actually the easiest to pick Australiums for, and once I say which Australiums I want, I'm sure 99% of people watching this are going to agree with me. The Crusader's Crossbow and the Kritzkrieg. The Kritzkrieg is great for nearly any game mode. I don't think any other Medigun is more deserving of getting the Australium treatment than this one. The quick fix is whatever, and every time someone equips the Vaccinator, a baby duckling gets separated from its mother, so I'm sticking with the Kritzkrieg. As for the crossbow, it's probably the best medic primary weapon in my opinion. Golden arrows would be cool. That's it. Moving on. The sniper is also pretty easy to choose weapons for. I could have gone with a melee weapon or one of his backpacks to be different, but let's not kid ourselves. The best part about sniper is hitting headshots. Left clicking on an unsuspecting person's head and instantly killing them is one of the most satisfying feelings in all of gaming, and TF2 is no different. So I'm picking two primaries for the sniper. The Hitman's Heatmaker is an infamous weapon in MVM, mainly because of a well-known strat on Big Rock. So long as you have a dispenser near you, you can pretty much solo any mission on Big Rock with the Hitman's Heatmaker if you have the proper upgrades. You don't even need to use it on Big Rock specifically. It's overpowered on literally every MVM map in the game, provided you have explosive headshots and enough ammo. It is disgusting and I love it. Totally deserves a slot. And our second sniper weapon has to be the Huntsman. It's kind of a silly choice compared to the other primaries in Sniper's arsenal, but when your choices left boil down to the PP gun and the classic, yeah, I'm going with the Huntsman every time. Golden arrows are still cool. And finally, we have the TF2 Spy. For Spy's primary, I'm going with the stock revolver. It seems kind of like a boring choice compared to the others on this list, but you will not catch me giving any praise to the Diamondback. That weapon is for noobs. Plus, the stock revolver rules, and I do wish more Spy players used it in fights. Trust me, it's busted if you hit all your shots. You will do yourself and your team a favor if you use your gun as Spy more often. So have a shiny new gun completely on the house and shoot some enemy gamers with it. Please, I'm begging, please do it. Please do it. And for our final Australium item, I kind of have to give it to the kunai. It's not my weapon of choice. I personally prefer the spy sickle, but the kunai is a TF2 staple at this point, and I think an Australium spy sickle would be ugly and warrant too many cringy yellow snow jokes. The kunai's earned its spot in the TF2 Weapon Hall of Fame. Good job, spy mains. You did it. You've done it again. But for real, I know the kunai kind of gets a bad rap, but if you're not really a big fan of it, I recommend you give it a try yourself and see what you think once you have more experience with it. It can make playing spy feel so much riskier, and it really pays off if you're able to get some sneaky backstabs in. I'd love to have one in Australium quality. And that's pretty much everything I'd want out of an MVM update. I feel like most people would be happy with new Australium drops and MVM maps alone, but we're not done yet. Oh no, this update's only going to get bigger and better. Let's talk about casual mode. Casual mode's been kind of a hot topic lately. As of 2025, a lot of people have been begging Valve to bring back quick play all of a sudden, but I don't really think that bringing back quick play would do anything to drastically improve TF2. Far from it. I think casual mode and how it works is good as is, and I'm saying this as someone who grew up with the original quick play. Trust me when I say casual mode is fine. I believe that alienating the player base a second time and changing how everything works would just make things much worse, nor do I think it would revitalize interest from people who once stopped playing TF2. I just think that the problems that come with casual mode in our current era of TF2 stick out to people, thus leading to the demand for old school quick play. Let's address some of those problems. For starters, filling up servers in a timely manner should definitely be a priority. There's nothing worse than a map changing and everyone just leaves you. So no matter how long you wait, nobody ends up joining and you're kind of forced to re-queue or play a really boring game of TF2. I like games with players to fill up faster because when that does happen, the games are really fun. It just needs to happen more often. And lobbies should 100% fill up if you have friends in your party with you. Like, how annoying is it to see that your match is searching for players while your one friend who joined the party late is stuck waiting? So to avoid leaving your friends in perpetual boredom, you're practically forced to re-queue. It just sucks for the people already in a game. The searching for players icon is just an insult to injury at that point. While we're on the subject of queuing for games, I really wish the game wouldn't take so long to start new matches. I'm okay with the best 2 out of 3 system that most game modes seem to have, and I don't think we need to change it, but once the map ends, things need to get going much faster. For starters, if the same map that's currently being played on gets chosen for a second time in a row, instead of making everyone load the game for an extra time for no reason, the game should just scramble up the teams minus the players who are in a party and reset the scores. Also, the button for choosing maps shouldn't break and randomly become useless, preventing people from voting. And since we're talking about games ending, I'd like to mention that I like staying in games to see my XP go up. I know that currently it does practically nothing and it's just for show, but man, I would love to see rewards be tied to leveling up or gaining XP. Even if it's something small like a badge or war paints, just something for being a good noodle and sticking it to the end. Like, could you imagine how many more people would stick around for the entire game if you got actual rewards for completing matches so they don't leave after the first round of Dust Bowl? Even if they came in the form of new contracts, as long as they're not too specific or take away from the core gameplay of TF2's classes and maps, I'd take it. I would love that so much. You could give me a TF2 battle pass and I'd be happy. Ooh, and that's another thing about casual TF2 with friends. How crazy is it that the only significant bonus is a measly 500 extra experience for getting auto balanced? It's so annoying getting separated from your friends, especially if you're winning. I can't believe that it divides parties instead of pulling from single players. This button has been useless since Jungle Inferno. Valve, please make it work. I hate when my friends get taken from me, please. Finally, we have to address the map pool. I like that we have tons of options to choose from at any given point, but it is nearly impossible to get certain maps. Yeah, I understand that they're unpopular for a reason, but I have an idea to try and breathe some new life into the less desirable maps. I'd like to see a weekly highlighted map where you get bonus XP for playing on it. Maybe one week it's Hydro, another week it's Probed. Hell, it could be something popular like Upward or Harvest. I don't care. I just want opportunities to play other maps in full servers while leveling up my XP progress or getting rewarded for it. That would be pretty cool. And, well, blushes. That's basically it, I guess. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about competitive mode. Competitive Team Fortress 2. In case you couldn't tell, yes, I like competitive TF2. Am I good at it? Hell no. In fact, casual is still my favorite way to play, but if you've ever been to a LAN event for a competitive TF2 tournament, it definitely holds a special place in your heart. Most people in the TF2 space point to the Meet Your Match update for nearly killing TF2, and almost a whole decade later, the game is still here. Meet Your Match could have been better, 1,000,000%, I agree, but there's a portion of people who unironically look at comp players themselves and blame them for it. A lot of reasons for this line of thinking are how limited sixes can be as a game mode due to class or weapon restrictions, negative player behavior, and the entry barriers, to name a few. And I feel as though a large portion of the TF2 community is a bit misinformed on what playing comp TF2 is actually like. While I'm not here to argue whether you should or shouldn't like competitive TF2, that's totally up to you. You can just trade or be friendly for all I care. I really want to focus on that last point, the entry barrier. If you live in North America, there are only a few ways you can play competitive TF2. I live in North America, so let's check them all out and see what our options are. You can sign up for a third-party league like RGL to play in a competitive season of either Sixes or Highlander. And as much as I like RGL, if you're not able to spend time scrimming or playing matches on default dates because of school, a job, or other factors in your life, you're out of luck, as you'll be either out of practice or too busy to play on match dates. You can try to reschedule, but admittedly, a lot of teams can be stingy and want to take the free win whenever possible by forcing you to forfeit if you can't make it on time. Okay, but that's just one way to play. What about third-party LAN events or cups such as the Horse Run Monthly? Check it out, link in the description. As exciting as those tournaments are, it's unrealistic for them to run as frequently as you may like. I've worked in esports for over 10 years now across many different games, and I've had to find out the hard way. In team games especially, players get fatigued, need time to change rosters, or have to prioritize main events like RGL, as they've dedicated a lot of time and money into securing a spot in the league for their teams. Plus, it's very expensive for organizers to provide prizing, a venue, travel, and so much more that many people watching these events don't even think about. Okay, maybe third-party cups aren't right for you, and that's okay. RGL pugs exist, and those are really good, but I'm sure most people who play TF2 had no idea they even existed. The average TF2 player is never going to find out about pugs on their own, let alone learn how to actually properly play comp unless they go out of their way on their own time to do some research. If a new player jumped into a pug with zero knowledge, I'm sure the fear of being flamed by players way better than them is enough to scare them away from the scene altogether. But I do have to admit, there are a good percentage of us who love the game so much that we can push past that barrier and persevere. In recent years especially, the comp scene has actually grown a ton despite how much people like to act so doomer about it. Seriously, if the Fizzgun Fireside LAN is anything to go off of, competitive TF2 has a bright future ahead. There are plenty of great options out there for players new and old alike, and I encourage people to at least look at what's available in their region, or hell, even start something on your own if you have to. But this video isn't about third-party leagues nor events. You take that all away and you're trapped. There's no escape, except for one last choice. Yup, the only way out is through Valve Comp. Oh boy, where to start? Valve Comp is a tough fish to fry. It's no wonder Valve hasn't tried to wake this beast in years. Valve Comp is all over the place in terms of quality. The casual players don't like it, the competitive players don't like it, so what you're left with is this big mess that almost nobody likes, and I guess I'll take the role of TF2 janitor for the day and try to propose some ideas that I think would help make the mode more playable. Let's start with actually making it playable. You may have noticed that all of my footage for this segment doesn't actually contain Valve Comp matches, and that's because I can't find any, not because it's completely dead. Oh. But once you hit a certain rank, you just cannot find matches. It's over. You've beat the game. I've tried queuing with people worse than me. I've tried queuing with players at my rank. I've even tried queuing with invite level competitive players, like the world's best players of all time, and still nothing. We've even gone in big TF2 streams to try and get people to queue, and even with tons of people claiming to be in queue, we get nothing still. And the few times we do get games, someone gets a crash or leaves, and that needs to be fixed ASAP. Players should be able to find a game no matter what. When you finally do get a game with 12 people who are ready to go, you better pray that you don't queue into a turbine match. Yeah. The map pool for Valve Comp is horrible. There are a few good maps in the mix. You have your 5 control point maps like Sunshine and Gully Wash, which is great, but look at this ratio. 10 control point maps, 2 payload maps, 1 King of the Hill map, and 1 Capture the Flag map? Why is this map pool so bad? I know that Valve was really trying their best. They were really trying to have this map pool somewhat resemble what competitive sixes looked like at the time, but some of these maps have got to go, man. I respect Valve for doing what they could, but nobody in sixes plays Capture the Flag, even when Meet Your Match drops. Commit with sixes or don't. I'm taking CTF out of the map pool. Out of our remaining maps, I'm making the decision to remove Vanguard, that map sucks, Granary, Gorge, and Badlands. They're too drastically different from their esports counterparts or are no longer favored by the community to begin with. Worst case, we can swap Granary out with the pro version, but it's whatever. And for Koth, let's replace Viaduct with Product and then add Bagel and Clear Cut. These maps are now a staple in the competitive TF2 scene, Bagel especially, so introducing them to Valve Comp would be a great way for players to be able to learn these maps. Hot take though, I really do like playing Stopwatch Payload in Valve Comp, so I don't really have a problem with it staying. I could take it or leave it. Plus it gives the Highlander players something to look forward to. I see you guys too. Shoutouts to Kegman especially, that's my goat. But for real, the Koth and 5CP maps definitely need to resemble what the modern competitive scene likes to play on. And just like with the extra casual mode changes I talked about earlier, I think we need rewards for people who reach certain ranks. My idea was something similar to a bot killer where you can redeem a weapon of your choice to have a bot killer chain with the emblem of your final rank for the season, however long that may last. You could attach it to war painted items or Australiums so you don't have to get rid of your main weapon. That would be so fun to flex, and as an additional incentive, competitive matches and MVM games to level up your casual progress, especially with the XP rewards I talked about earlier. The biggest gripe of all that I'd want to have fixed with competitive mode are the limits imposed on custom TF2 settings. For those that are unaware, Valve Comp disables your config or custom settings if you have one installed for some reason. My main theory before I knew any better was that it was to allow players to have a more level playing field, as it'd be unfair to have one player in the game that has all of these settings to boost their FPS and unfair for a player that doesn't have any of those settings or even knows that they exist. But according to some people I know that have playtested Valve Comp and provided feedback before it ever even went live, the real reason Valve did this was to prevent game crashes, which I think actually just does the opposite as TF2 has evolved over time. Players should be allowed to keep their config. It just makes TF2 run a lot smoother on certain machines so people can enjoy the game more. It's not a problem in casual, so it shouldn't be a problem in competitive either. With this list of changes, I think Valve Comp can truly flourish. I understand that it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it's not supposed to be and it never was. Competitive formats in any game should be meant for people who want to improve or for highly skilled players to earn rewards, bragging rights, and ultimately just play the game how they want to. I personally like playing TF2 both casually and with a competitive rule set, so being able to have both available at any time would be really neat. The whole reason I talked about accessibility into third-party leagues like RGL so much is because I would love Valve Comp to be a stepping stone. I think it's really important that the ranked competitive mode of TF2 reflects what people can expect out of TF2 as an esport. That's really important to me because I'd love to see people get into the comp scene because of their experiences in Valve Comp. Valve already borrows so many ideas from the community, such as bug fixes, hats, taunts, weapons, maps, playable characters, and now even MVM missions, so I see no issue in Valve working with tournament organizers to create some sort of unified rule set or map pool at the very least. Valve Comp should be a way to let players practice without needing to add up to pugs or finding 5 to 11 other players at any given moment. I think more people would be open to trying competitive TF2 out and getting better at TF2 in general if they had a fair chance to do so. And in a perfect world, I give them that chance. I guess you could say I hashtag saved TF2 esports. Okay, now it's time for the fun part. New cosmetics and taunts. Oh yeah. Since I've opened so many crates on my channel, I thought it'd be fun to go through the workshop and sort of craft what I've creatively dubbed the Connie crate. These are all hats and cosmetics that I found to look cool. If I'd be happy to unbox it or get it in unusual quality, I'm adding it to the list. I know that TF2's art style has been all over the place within the past 15 years, so as long as it's not ugly or doesn't ruin the entire look of a class, I'm putting it in. Unpopular opinion, but not everything in TF2 has to look like it was from the 70s or whatever. So long as it looks good and people want it, then what the heck, right? Put it in. Let's start off with the blue tier items. First off is the Robot Ravager. It's a mask and hood for the Heavy that gives him total Dr. Doom vibes. It almost makes me wish the Heavy had a cape or a cloak cosmetic. We already do have a mask cosmetic for the Heavy, but the hood really stands out and makes it unique. I'd love to see what combos people come up with using this hat. Next up is the Industrial Roughneck. Engineer is honestly one of the hardest classes to make unique loadouts for. His hats are either Western themed or technology themed. I really wish we had some more variety outside of just those two themes, so I chose this hat because Engineer doesn't have anything that's similar to it already. I would love to see some more distinct items get created for Engineer in the future though, but for now, this'll do. Now we've got the Daisy Dew. This is a hat that gives Pyro a flower on top of his head just like a Pikmin. I think this hat is really funny and it makes the Pyro look super silly. I can already picture a bunch of dudes just mic spamming this in a single party and just absolutely ruining the startup to a server. It'd be funny. I like it. It's a good idea. Go ahead and add it. This next hat is the Razor Front. It's basically just the Razorback item, but as a mask. I really like this one. It's a pretty fun idea that I'd like to see in the game. The thought of putting this hat on with the Razorback and then somehow tricking my enemy into thinking I was actually facing the other way around because I'm sniping from really far away is super hilarious. I don't think it'd be really common, but it'd get a laugh out of me for the few times it does actually happen. And to end off the blue tier, we've got the Resupplier and Paisano set. Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of this one. I like it. Obviously, the main styles are based on Mario and Luigi from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which is awesome on its own, but the other styles and options you have when paired with other cosmetics create some really distinct and nice looking loadouts. I'd love to see these. Also, quick note, I'm aware that the entire loadout sets aren't shoved into one tier. They're usually scattered across a few colors like blue all the way up to pink sometimes. I'm just showing them all at once because it'd be weird to show you one miscellaneous item at a time. It just makes it easier for me to explain and for you to watch. Cool? Cool. Let's move on to purple. I don't think this is a set, but this item is called the Fused Plates. I really like how it looks. Turning the Demo Man into a haunted bomb night thing looks really neat. My only critique is that I would make the helmet and the armor their own separate items. I'd really like to use this set in game for the helmet alone. It looks so good. This set was intended to be Halloween only, but Valve has added some items intended for Halloween into the regular cosmetic lineup before, and compared to some of the more recent additions to the game, this is practically harmless. I'd be shocked if people complained. Next up is the Brim Reaper. I don't really like all class hats. I feel like you usually just get all class beanies or just regular baseball caps, which are kind of boring, you know? But I really like the Brim Reaper. It kind of combines two cosmetics into one, and I think it's a great concept because it gives you room to further customize whatever class you're playing as to your liking. So I'd be happy if this got in. Super cool. After that, I'd like to add the Smooth Operator for the Scout. What I really like about this cosmetic is that it stays true to Scout's OG design, but accentuates it. Giving him a mask as well as a unique headset while keeping his hat too is something that's not really seen on other headphone or hat cosmetics for the Scout. I'm glad they made it to look so cool as well. Truly has the potential for an amazing addition to a future crate. And to close off the purple tier, we've got the Top Fragger set. Yes, absolutely yes. This set is so cool. I'm a huge fan of loadouts and items that reference other games, and since the original is literally one of the most iconic soldier weapons, we'd be worse off not having this loadout in the game. This set is fire. Okay, pink tier. We've got the radiation shield. This makes the engineer look evil. I know earlier I said that there are too many engineer cosmetics that are just technology, but this one looks cool as hell. The animated effects especially are really great. And now we've got the one-hit wonder. I am a huge fan of this one. It makes the spy look totally different than he usually does, but not in a bad way by any means. The hairstyle is really cool, and I like that we can see a bit more of his face. This set rocks. Even the shirt alone is a really nice touch. I'm a big fan of that. And now it's time for the red tier. We've got 2 items to look at, and you will never guess what the first item is. For the first red tier, I chose the horse-driven Carnage. I love this item. Seeing the Balloonicorn control the Pyro's legs with levers whenever he walks is a genius idea for an item. The animation, jiggle bones, and tons of creative cosmetic combo opportunities all come together to create a masterpiece. If I got this item in strange quality, I would scream, spill all of my Soylent bottles, and then equip it instantly. Or I'd probably run to a trading site and make my wallet cry, but whatever. I need it. It's a horse. I like it. I'm biased. And our final item for this crate is an absolute banger. Our final item is the Rocket Ranger. Holy fuck. This item bangs. It's a throwback to classic FPS games in the best way possible. This hat also has an item set called the Underworld Slayer that also includes some miscellaneous items, and they're just as awesome. I would 100% include those in some of the earlier tiers as well. I know that we had the Quake set earlier in the crate, and there is a Quake style for the helmet, but I just wanted to show these both off as they're incredible designs on their own. Plus, it'd be really fun to have the option to dress up as either Doom Guy or Quake Guy. Seriously though, this hat is the coolest thing ever, and I would really like to see it added to the game. And that'll do it for all the cosmetics in the crate. One thing I wanted to bring up really quickly while I'm here is the lack of promotional items in the current state of TF2. I know some people hate them because of the whole art style thing, but seeing these plastered all over Steam back as a kid was the coolest thing ever. Seriously, I still go through all the pop-ups every single time I start Steam in the hopes that there's a pre-order bonus that includes TF2 hats or something. God, I miss those. In a perfect universe, would you be able to pre-order a Sonic game on Steam and get TF2 Sonic items? Oh, and since I run that horse run thing, I'd be really happy to have a horse run badge or something added into the game. I know that Valve is really inconsistent when adding badges to the game, but hey, my RGL badges just came out thanks to the summer update, so there's a chance. Now I want to talk about taunts. I only added a few that I found to be pretty funny. I didn't want to spend too much time going through them since a lot of them are just loopable taunts and sort of achieve the same effect. It's not a bad thing, but I saw a lot of walk cycles, dances, or the mercs just playing instruments. Not terrible by any means, like I said, but I just didn't care for all of them that much since they're more so emotes rather than ways to make fun of your opponent, which I like doing better. Even after checking the workshop, I didn't see many standard taunts, so my list is a little short because of that. So if any workshop creators are watching, go ahead and make some standard non-looping taunts. You'll have my vote because taunting after a good kill in TF2 is fun. First up, we've got the Healthcare Hog. This is the definition of a really disrespectful taunt. Scouts are notorious for stealing health packs, so being able to use it on enemies or even teammates after you yoinked their only escape from death is hilarious. This taunt is called the Snazzy Synths. I chose this one because the music made me laugh. The idea of a bunch of spies spamming this after winning a round is too good to not make possible. Even better if the music gets desynced to be even more annoying. Now we've got the Hayseeds Hovercraft. I'm a big Sonic fan, so this is the best thing you could add to TF2 for me. I really like the idea of just driving around in circles while defending last, and giving the Eggmobile a TF2 design is super sick. This next taunt is called the Bushwalker, and I love it. I'm a really big fan of those meme strats where you just confuse the other team for an entire match. It always makes the game super funny, so me and my friends just can't stop laughing whenever stuff like this pops up in the game and seeing everyone on the enemy team just scramble to find out what's wrong. So wasting enemies' time, that's definitely a big bonus in my book, so yeah, let's go ahead and put that in. And finally, we have the Immobilized Bomber. Obviously, it's a neat reference to Meet the Medic, but what really won me over is when the animation ends. Okay, we're in the home stretch. It's time for my miscellaneous additions. These are just going to be rapid fire ideas I have for TF2 that would improve the quality of life for creatures like me. I'm going to start this section off pretty boldly. I'm bringing the Saxy Awards back. Oh, what? Yeah, that's right, baby. I want to see people competing to make the best shorts turn themselves a Saxy again. It costs Valve nothing to pick some cartoons and call it a week, plus it's free marketing for TF2. I know people would lose their minds if the Saxy Wars were back, and I bet it would inspire people to boot up SFM and make some banger content again. The next thing I want to bring back to TF2 is extra spooky, because during the next Stream Fortress, I would 100% bring spells back. Spells are the coolest thing ever, and they haven't returned since 2013. I don't think they have as drastic of an effect on the trading community as people like to think. I just want a green flame degreaser or flog so badly. I want to live in a future where Halloween contracts give you spells for completing missions instead of only pumpkins. That would be so sick. And of course, another addition I'd like to see are some new war paints and unusual effects. I don't really have any in mind, to be quite honest, so I have some on screen that I thought looked cool, but I want to see some unique themes this time around, stuff that pops and looks unique. Just no items that look like they came from the dumpster of a Hobby Lobby in January, okay? Those were really bad. I don't want more of that. And while we're here, I want to bring up balance changes. I'm not a game designer, so I don't know how to balance weapons, classes, maps, none of that. But what I do know is that the Vaccinator is cringe, and anyone who acts like it isn't is also cringe. I hate that thing. I'm sure someone can be brought on to hashtag fix TF2's more egregious weapons, so I'll leave it up to them. You know, hopefully they can do a good job and make the game a bit more fun to play in that regard. And finally, I want to see some new maps and items. I don't have any picked out. Again, I'm not a game designer, and that's because I want Valve to cook up some heat. I miss when we'd get new maps from the top dogs themselves. The last time we got Valve maps or even items was way back in Jungle Inferno. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I trust Valve with all of my heart to either create or choose some good weapon concepts and maps for us to play on. I know we've gotten some straight up doo-doo like Whatville in the past, but that's the same update that gave us Pier. Since then, we've gotten bangers like Phoenix, Embargo, Krampus, and so many other great maps. Personally, I don't trust myself, and I don't have enough friends to properly playtest maps or fill up a server, so I don't want to leave it up to people who know what the heck they're doing to properly vet maps for the game. I know that Valve can go above and beyond to deliver on another great update. They've done it before, and if Project TF is anything to go off of, we may already be in the TF3 waiting room as we speak. Who knows? But that's going to do it for this video. That was my dream TF2 update and all the cool things I'd like to see added to the game. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and tell me what you'd like to see in a TF2 update. I'd really like to hear what all of you want to see in the next TF2 update, and maybe I'll make a video going over your comments and showcase what you guys want to see get added into TF2. But that's going to do it for now. Bye bye every pony. Bye bye. Adios. Bye bye every pony. Have fun.